Hello and welcome, you guys. Today's an exciting day because we are going to be chatting all about what the heck do you do during the holiday season to do scheduling with your tutoring students. And what I want you to kind of fall into peace with is that each one of us that shares our story today is just one way to do it. And you're going to find a way that's going to work best for you based off of your circumstances, your schedule, your flexibility, but it really all comes down to one really big key factor. So I want you guys continuing to listen to see if you can figure out what is that one key factor. And we're going to see if you guys can be listening to it and type on in. If you hear what that key factor is, type it on in. Also, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you tutor, all that great stuff, because the more that we see you, the more that we get to know you. So thanks for joining us. We've got Natalie who's joining us inside of the house and Robert. So thanks you guys for tuning on in and listening. And if you have any questions about scheduling, please feel free to throw those on into the chat. So I've got today Alan Sal with us, and he is an online math tutor. Tell us a little bit about what tutoring during the holidays has looked like for you, Alan, because I know you've got little kids around.
Yeah, I try to take a break over. So at this time of year, Thanksgiving was a nice little break. I'm looking forward to take a little bit of a longer break. I'm not traveling, so this year I've been saying that if they want any help over the break, they can. I would say the majority of my students will take a break over the holidays because they'll be traveling and they'll be through finals. I have some students who have tests when they come back because over here in the Northwest, the semester doesn't end, or the quarter technically, doesn't end until January 30th. So some people come back from break with finals. So then I'm going to have some students who need to do a little bit of catch up. I've been onboarding a couple of students in the last few weeks, and so they're behind, and so they're probably going to want to do a little bit over the break, but it's going to be far less, and it's going to be more relaxed, and they're going to be more on a schedule that's easier to do rather than they won't have school schedules and extracurriculars to deal with.
Sure.
So I kind of leave it pretty flexible for them.
Yeah.
And I probably will try to restrict my hours, maybe only certain days of the week, depending on how much support they need. But I try to, if I am going to work, I prefer not to scatter it out through too many days, like an hour. I try to say okay, I'm going to allocate Monday and Tuesday to do some of this stuff, or, like that.
That's awesome. And you've got little ones too, so you're probably going to want to be able to hang out with them too and be able to do things with them over the holiday, right?
Yeah. So yeah, my kids are 3, 5, and 7.5 now. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, that was the age of my kids when I got started.
wow.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So it's really, so then how do you let the parents know about this kind of open flexibility that you have?
Well, so what I do is I usually try to contact, because I want to know my schedule in advance. So prior to any big holidays or breaks, I try to ask about, so, hey, when's the semester going to end for us? Are we going to want to meet over break? What are the kinds of, goals that we have in mind? And if it's just we're good, which is most of them, then they'll let me know when they want to resume sometime in January. So I've had a couple parents already reach out and being like, this is when we're going to be gone, or this is when we're done, we'll resume on this day. And I'm like, fantastic. Other students, I need to be a little more proactive and reach out and just sort of saying hey, but I usually just send a quick email or a text depending on what medium they like to communicate with, just saying hey, break's coming up. I'm fine taking a break over the holidays. If they want to meet, I have some availability, but otherwise, I hope they have a good break.
I love that. I love the idea of, he's getting me to rethink what I plan on doing. I love this because I'm okay, I love this idea of limited availability, which then opens up your availability. If you did some morning hours, sometimes the kids want to get their tutoring done if they're not in school, first thing in the morning versus having to wait later in the evening when they have their typical time. Some people have no flexibility with their time due to their living circumstances with their parents and going back and forth. So it's interesting, but I usually send out a blanket email to just everyone just to find out all right, what's going on, right? Like and it's just like, hey, the holidays are coming on up. We've got Christmas and we've got New Year's. And I just want to make sure that we are all communicating about what is happening for our schedules. I'm going to be in town the entire time. I am able to do the tutoring during normal tutoring hours. And then just say, if you have any reschedules or changes, or you're going to be gone for a week or two, let me know so that we can work that into the schedule for the upcoming, or if you want to do reschedules or any of that kind of stuff. I try to get them to reschedule versus just like a blanket out like cancel,
Right.
because as you know, like if we do just a blanket out, okay, we're gonna cancel all of these sessions for 2 weeks, it's like that's 2 weeks of income you don't get. Like you don't, it's not like working at the school system where you get paid no matter what. I mean, you work your hours, trust me, you guys, I know you work your hours during that time that you're there, but I mean, there's no actual, like, you wouldn't get the same amount of money coming on in for the month of December. For some, that, especially in the beginning of your tutoring business, when you got only 1 or 2 clients, you're like, that's going to take a significant cut in my low amount of money I'm bringing in anyway. So you always want to kind of save the sale in a way, like, hey, I know that this is going to work for you, but we could do 2 sessions next week. Would that work for you guys? And think about the reschedule, because that will really help you financially, and also bring it back to the student as to why. And it does come down to their goals, right? I want to keep them on pace. We really want to be, close the gap by this date. This will help us be able to do that, or speak in their terms versus, I really can't afford not to have you for 2 weeks. Like, they don't care. I'm sorry. They should, right? They should. You can't be like, this is my livelihood. You can't, nope. They will not respond well to any of that. So think about it in phrasing it in, this will help us stay on track with being able to, reach the goals that we have set forth. So I think that can really be helpful. Esme, what do you plan on doing over the holidays?
Well, this holiday is different for Thanksgiving. I had half of my students take off, half were like, we're not doing anything. So they were very laid back. Of course, my students work with me year round. Mm-hmm. So I am a little more like, when they say they want to take off, I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I do send a text, because that's how I communicate with them. I'll tell them when I'm taking off. And so that's one way for them to maybe take off the week I'm taking off. It just depends on my husband's, time off. So I try to, sometimes him being off is a good time for me to work, because I don't have to worry about anything, so that he's going to be taking care of things. So I think it's just different. But I do want to say my clients do work with me year round. Some of them stayed 2 to 3 years with me. So I can't, I feel like the summers kind of make up for those little times that we're off. So I kind of take that approach. And I think when we take, like what you're saying, that approach, they don't feel one way or another. They're more likely even to just do it for the holidays. So half of my students are homeschooled and half are not. So those that are, public school will usually want to move up during the daytime. Right? Some will. And then some, their parent schedule doesn't change at all. So they're still going to work. So they're like, no, I'm keeping my time.
Yep.
So I've had that happen as well. So, some do move to the daytime hours. I'm still trying to decide if to take off or not. I enjoyed the extra cash during the Thanksgiving break for those that did stay on, right? So, it was like, okay, hey, this could be good. And so it's still, my week was different. So that to me was a break. I don't know about y'all, but even when you have a reschedule, it's like, oh, I kind of needed that. I kind of needed that break. And so sometimes you welcome it. But I know for the Christmas and with New Year's just around the corner, then it, sometimes people will think, yeah, we'll do it. And then they realize this is impossible. We have, family in town. And so I think starting off with telling them if you're going to take off, or if you're going to tutor. And for Thanksgiving, I said I will be available, except for, of course, Thursday, but I'm available Friday. So I had someone like Friday morning. because I don't do the big cooking for the Thanksgiving, so I don't,
Yeah.
my mother-in-law does, so I just do a side. So it's really a matter of our own circumstances.
It really, yeah, absolutely. And I would say, like, when it came to Thanksgiving, so I work with kids from all over the world that don't even celebrate Thanksgiving. So
Exactly.
those students, I just kept working with them until I didn't need to, right? So I had my student from the UK, I still worked with him. I had a student that usually is later on in the evening. We moved him to earlier in the day. It was actually kind of funny because he's like, why are we doing tutoring on Thanksgiving? I said, oh, we're doing it earlier. I didn't answer the Thanksgiving. I'm like, we're doing it earlier because the later time that we normally do it, you're probably going to be celebrating Thanksgiving with your family, and so am I.
Uh-huh.
So this allows us to get it out of the way before that happens, and you can just enjoy your time with your family. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I've done the same thing as far as like doubling up. Like if it's especially like Thanksgiving and they're going to be off, I'll do that. I'll be like,
Yeah.
well, can we do an extra day this week so that we
Yeah.
don't. And they are open to it. So, and because the children are more relaxed because they're not in school that day,
Right.
they are okay with it. I really haven't had anyone that's just like, no, but like you say, I do talk them through it. Like, oh, I make a big deal. I'm gonna, definitely read. Of course, I do reading. And they're children, so we're definitely gonna read or do something that's related to the holiday, just so they feel like we're enjoying it. And but honestly, it's really about your schedule. And some parents are fine with them because they don't want them to, the Christmas break can be a very long break for those who do reading. You
Mhm.
know. It really can. Now, for our older students, maybe they're like, I definitely need that break. But then it can be an opportunity as well. It can be an opportunity to prepare for something.
Yeah.
So it can go both ways. But I definitely have found a lot of parents want to stay through the break. I thought one parent would want to take off. She's like, no, we're not doing anything. And it was like, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because I have her on Thursdays. We actually had, I had a 10 a.m. on Thursday before I headed out for our family lunch.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and why not? I mean, most of the kids, most of the time, they don't mind it. It's like not like they have to go into school or anything, and you do make it
yeah.
a little bit more fun. I had one where I did a reschedule, and she usually does like 30-minute sessions. I said, hey, how about on Tuesday we do an hour session, and then she's free on Thursday. And she's like, oh, that'll work. She goes, I'm not sure how well she's gonna handle doing an hour session. I said, you know what I'm gonna do? We're reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in some of the video clips from the movie to give her some more visuals on what's happening, and it will make it fun, and it won't feel like it's a full hour session.
Right, right. I've had that. I had that happen because I do 30-minute sessions. In fact, someone switched to an hour session during that week because of that. And then she was like, you know what? I think he can handle the hour session now. And I'm thinking, I can't. I can't handle it. Not year round. I'm so used to my 30-minute sessions now with my reading students. Of course, the older ones, it's a little different because you're doing writing and things like that. But they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think they think I'm their grandma, and they really look forward to every time I turn on the camera. It's like they have a drawing for me. They have something they want to show me. We now I've added like show and tell to our session because they've just do that all the time.
I know. I have some that every single time they want to show me something, or then they ask. So now we bring it. I brought it into their rewards system.
Yes.
Like
yes.
if you do a great job today, you can show me something from your room at the end of the session.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
But it's like we got to get to work and then we can, because this is not going to take up our whole session of you showing me your new marble.
No.
I have to do that with one of my kiddos too.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot
but-
of fun.
Yeah, it's like that. I'll say, we have 3 minutes. Either you're going to do it at the beginning or at the end, or depending how what we're doing, and
Sure.
and they work with it. But yeah, definitely, it's just a matter of who your clients are, what they've done in the past for the holidays. But I think you should, you can. I thought I wasn't going to have that one client on Thursday, and she was like, "Yep, I'm okay with it." And I'm like, "If you're okay with it," and I said, "Okay, well, let's do it." And it was the 30-minute session, so it was nothing
Yep.
like. I got my stuff done.
Yeah. And communication
Is the key.
is key.
Mhm.
Okay. And now is the time to start communicating. The
Yes.
time to start communicating is not the day before, nor even the week before when it comes to something like this, because you might be able to realize, wait, I could take like a 5-day break if I do this, this, or this, and this could give you some of that extra, just an extra fresh mind when you come back
Yes.
to tutoring, whether you come back during the holidays or after the holidays or whatever it is. It just gives you that refresh for you, and you kind of want to think about, do you need a refresh, do you want a refresh? Those are really important things to think about. Beth, what does scheduling look like for you during the holidays?
Yeah, so I definitely do my best to do the reschedules as well, both for my students' benefit and for the financial side of my own as well. And for my students, because I'm teaching them Spanish, it's so important to have the repetition and the like Esme said with reading the continuity. Those long breaks are hard because they tend to forget things, and so I try my best to not have those long breaks with them. So I like you just said, the communication is key, and so what I've been doing recently, which has actually been really successful, is I also do half-an-hour sessions, and so if we have to miss a session for any reason, whether it's holiday or kiddo had a doctor's appointment or anything else, we have been adding 15 minutes to the end of the next two sessions, which has been working really well for me. So it's not too much longer for the kid, and they still get their time in that they deserve and need. So I've really been liking that method. Of course, it won't work for a ton of students, but it works for right now.
Yeah, I never thought of doing it like that. That's a great
Yeah.
way to do it too. So it's not so overwhelming for them. Just it's like, hey, yeah, we'll just add 15 minutes here and there.
Right. And one of my students actually commented on it. He's like, haven't we been here for like 40 minutes? I'm like, yeah, we have. We're almost done.
I know they are very much watching the clock.
Yeah.
And when your time is up, sometimes they will let you know. Our time is done. Like, oh, okay.
He's also the kid though that is like, we're already done. So he's a bit of both. He's fun. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I've been doing the 15 minutes at the end of each session for the next two times, or if that doesn't work, then definitely trying to do the reschedules. So
yeah. And that'll just give you some free time. And again, it comes down to communication, finding out from the clients, talking with them, coming up with that. And it can be, I'm curious to know, because this is also a time when things change or times change, that kids are more likely to forget they have their session and not show up. Like, no-shows increase exponentially even with communication, I find. And then also, there's always somebody who decides that they don't need to continue with services. Has anybody had that happen where it's like, when you make the change, that they're like, yeah, we don't really need the tutoring anymore? Or I feel like it's more likely to happen when one of these big changes happens with the holidays than any other time of year. Has anybody else noticed that?
I do find that there's that one parent who thinks they can work through the break. I've had that happen. They're like, yes, for sure, and then life gets crazy during that holiday break, and then they're like, they didn't show and they're running late, and because maybe they are shopping, maybe they're doing that. So I kind of keep a note of that that parent probably is not going to. So this time she's like, okay, let's just do the break when there's a break, because obviously life gets a little crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know so much about, mid breaks. Sometimes at the end of the school year, they might do that. They might
Mm-hmm.
say, we're gonna stop with the services. Um, I really haven't seen a big shift, not during the holidays. I don't know if anyone else has, Alan, or since there's a more like a beginning ending with what they accomplished. Kind of like if you're an SAT tutor, I think it would happen a lot where they're going to be like, okay, we're done.
Mm, yeah.
Um, Maybe they thought to retake the test, but they're like, hey, we did it. This is the score, and we're not going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with my subject at least, and I'm getting the sense that it might be the same for reading tutors as well. It's kind of like I mentioned earlier with that continuation. They really need that consistency, and they really need the it takes a while. Like they're with me for a while, and they might take a break here and there for a week or two, but they tend not to take these long breaks,
Yeah.
which I think is good because because they need it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Alan, how about you?
Yeah, so it varies. Since I'm more on an academic schedule, right? I teach
Mm-hmm.
specific classes or supporting them. For my high school students, I don't usually have any students or parents that are going to transition at that point. Um, like in fact, usually the end of the break is kind of where I get a little bit more onboarding because the semester just ended and the grades came back not so great, and so then they start looking for some support at that point. My college students, right, their term ends, so
Yeah.
there's not a specific need to continue in that class. Um, Depends on where they are in their college curriculum. Like I have a student finishing up a math class, but the mom reached out and said and wanted some support twice a week for the coming semester. So I'll continue with him, but over the break, obviously, there's nothing to get a jump start on in that sense. So there's nothing really to motivate like tutoring over the break, but they'll want to continue once the semester starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of varies, but yeah, with a more academic schedule, I don't get a lot of ending of services over winter unless like for college students who are ending their course and there's not the next course they're not either not taking or they're done with the sequence that they needed my help with.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Communication is key. I know in the beginning I wasn't like the best at that. So I think this is like where the rubber really hits the road there is like when you communicate well, you kind of are foreseeing all the problems that could happen in the future, right? And when you're getting started, sometimes you don't think about those. So definitely email those parents now because that quick heads up is just going to be really, really great. In fact, that's what I'm going to do after we get off this call today. Email all of the parents that I'm working with because, the holidays are there and just find out, at least take the temperature. Hey, what are your plans for the holidays? I am going to be around, but then that will also help me as people start giving me feedback on what they're going to do. It'll see does it open up a space where I can take some time off with my family just naturally. So
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes. So hopefully you guys, this has helped you. Remember that when it comes to scheduling during the holidays, there's no right or wrong, but communication is going to be the thing that is going to set you apart from other tutors and really make people feel trust in your business. And this is your brand. So you really want to make sure that you are on top of this and that you are not kind of letting the holiday season pass by and communicating with them last minute. Nobody appreciates that. You could experience some parents deciding not to move forward with you, feeling it's not very professional, and we don't want that to happen for you. So communicate. That is the key. Make the decision based off of what fits your student schedules, your schedule, what you feel like you need as a tutor, and you're going to be great this holiday season. And thank you, Esme, Beth, and Alan for joining us and just sharing what it looks like for your businesses. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Well.